Welcome to Creative Dramatics. My name is Joy Jackson, and I am currently in Psychology 562 with Professor Dr. Soo Hyung Pak. And let's get into it. So, the context of this presentation, the objective for our presentation is to provide perspective, details, and guidance around this topic, along with tips to take your classroom to the next level. We will go over the definition of creative dramatics, examples of creative dramatics in media and in the world, implementation in the classroom, implementation outcome and tips, and then finally, my references and some resources. So, what are creative dramatics? Creative dramatics can be defined as a form of imaginative play that helps students learn, uses no written dialogue, making it different from performing a play. I received that definition from How to Use Creative Dramatics in the Classroom through Childhood Education by Johnson et al. I would add to this definition or kind of switch it up to say, I would believe that creative dramatics is a learning technique that requires students to create, play out, reflects, and internalize new or daunting skills. Let's get into it. We actually see a lot of creative dramatics in the TV show Bluey. Now, Bluey is popular amongst preschoolers, to adults, to grandparents. And I would like to discuss an example of how in the season finale of season 3, how Bluey uses what Johnson in that article, How to Use Creative Dramatics in the Classroom, would describe as character or imagination exercises. In the final episode, Bluey and her sister Bingo kind of role play as grandmothers who do not want to sell their house as a way to cope of the reality of actually selling their childhood home. Bluey has a really rough time with it and often tries to stop the quote unquote sale from happening. But through uh, confidence from her parents, as well as tips and tricks on how to deal with stress from her mom, Bluey is able to not only internalize this play and overcome the fear of moving, but then use the same techniques to soothe her sister, who comically did not realize that they were actually selling their house until the last bit of the episode. As you can see through role play, children can actually learn and attain so many different skills, not only just social and emotional, but also learning skills as well. A real world application of creative dramatics can be seen through therapy and the incubation model. I was reading chapter 11 in Cultivating Creative Thinking by Cramen et al., and I was able to deduce that educators and therapists use the same strategy that in that chapter, they identify it as the incubation model. The incubation model is in 3 steps: heightening anticipation, encountering the expected and unexpected, and deepening those expectations, and then going keep it going and going beyond. The first stage that is seen in therapy is kind of warming up. This is where the therapist takes the time to just kind of see ever present triggers or things that have happened in their client's life, similar to the way an educator would use a warm up to deduce or assess where their students are at. Then they would use role playing, talking throughout, and creative problem solving to deepen their understanding and try to pinpoint roots of triggers or behaviors that their clients are in therapy. However, as a licensed therapist, they may know the root cause because they have a history with this client or a history with this client in their demographic. But to have integral knowledge and a deeper understanding of root cause and patterns, it is best for clients and in our case, students, to utilize their wealth of knowledge and come to their own conclusions. And then finally, therapists tend to wrap up sessions by trying to give their clients homework or different steps and prompts to internalize these new skills, to entertain impossibilities, and confront roadblocks on their way to success. It is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men by Frederick Douglass. I put this quote in here because I believe the question of when do we implement these thinking strategies is a moot point because creative dramatics can be used and seen in classrooms as young as ECE or pre-K and kinder, all the way into university level and even still professional development. Implementing creative dramatics into your curriculum and classroom, you can start with role playing, similar to the example with Bluey. Give your students characters to explore events, literary plots, or concepts. Improvisation, kind of give your students a chance to create different solutions on the spot to get those neural pathways going. Storytelling, give students a chance to internalize the curriculum and their comprehension of the curriculum by creating a story around it. Tableau, or I would like to also call these vignettes, just taking a chance to give students to create a frozen picture or snapshot of what they're learning, right? Theme days. This is really fun, especially for those who like to dress up. Halloween does not have to be just in October. You can create a time where students can, we're going to show up all day as a scientist, and let's really act out what a scientist does, thinks, and may create throughout the day. And then debates and discussions, which are my personal favorites. This is a time to just kind of, again, similar to role playing, but with a little bit more structure, which is why I changed the definition at the beginning of this presentation, because it allows for students to represent different viewpoints and encourage their critical thinking skills. So students should expect to participate actively, meaning they should be engaging in the role playing or other dramatic activities. They should expect to work with their peers. They should embrace creativity and use their imagination to deeply develop the narratives and or characters that they're portraying. They should expect to embrace ideas and reflect on the experiences that they had in their class, in their activities. They should also be ready to show empathy and take risks through these through creative dramatics. And educators should expect to see an enhanced engagement in their students because students tend to be more motivated when they're able to access their creative brain. They should see improved comprehension because these skills actively help students internalize and comprehend the skills and knowledge that they are learning. They should see a development of communication skills as students will be engaging in public speaking and private speaking because they'll be talking amongst their peers. Critical thinking and problem solving, meaning students will be able to start to create improbable solutions to things that may work and start to really, really get those thinking paths flowing. We should also, as educators, begin to see students expand their knowledge of empathy and social skills. By stepping into other shoes, they develop a greater understanding of things. Continued collaboration and creativity in their classrooms. And finally, we should see self-expression because through these acts, educators have created a safe space for students to express their thoughts and emotions. Some tips: please try your best to create a safe, judgment-free environment. This could be as easy as putting a sticker of showing your tolerance and acceptance of others. Start with simple exercises and gradually increase with complexity. So maybe this is starting with vocal exercises, and then as we get more comfortable with one another, we start doing role play. Provide clear objections and guidelines for every activity. That is also why I had an issue with the definition because it said without prompt, but some students, especially our younger students, and we want to implement this technique into younger grades, they need a little bit more scaffolding when it comes to creative thought and encourage reflection and discussion after each dramatic exercise. Give students a chance to talk about, feel, and maybe even shift what they're doing in the moment. And then connect dramatic activities to the course content and learning objectives. We're not just here to be silly and act out a play. We're here to be silly because we're exploring the branches of government or exploring covalent bonds. You could truly use dramatic activities to internalize any content. And then be flexible and open to student-led creativity. Maybe students want to pivot the dramatic activity into making a live stream or a TikTok. Maybe this is now, instead of a paper, it's now a class play. Here are some resources for further exploration. This book by Ruth Bale Hensing, Creative Dramatics in the Classroom. This is a really great website from University of Texas. And then this is an excellent TED Talk by Muhammad Awad, Education Through Drama and Theater. Here are my references from this presentation. Thank you so much, and I hope you are on your way to implementing creative dramatics.